is, right, you have done everything correctly and now you are ready with your paper, you've submitted it to the editor, you have followed all the instructions and now your article is accepted for publication. Do you think your job ends there? I think it actually starts there. Now, is there any product in the market that is successful without marketing? Even big brands like Apple, etc., they need to market their own products. They have advertisements, hoardings here and there, TV, television advertisements. Why? Because promotion is very important. There needs to be a brand recall. There needs to be continuous reminders that yes, this is there. This is something that you can consider. So promoting your article is really important because each year more than 2.5 million articles are published. How do you ensure that your article is noticed and your article stands out, right? And there is much that editors and publishers can do. So we have a platform. Let's say you publish in an Elsevier journal. It is posted on Science Direct, which is one of the most used platforms globally, and it has close to 1/5 of the world's data, right? That is the first step. When you publish in a good journal with a good publisher, your article is ensured that people globally are reading that, getting access to that. But what you can do at your end is even more powerful. You have the power of social media, right? You have Twitter, Facebook, Google Scholar, Mendeley, LinkedIn, ResearchGate. There are so many platforms where you can simply paste a link of your article and just say, please read, this is my recent article on so-and-so. To read this article, click here. Done. That one simple share can attract so many clicks, and then there may be increased readership and viewership, which can ultimately result in citations. And I say ultimately may result in citations because quality is of utmost importance. If I give you an article for free which is not good, would you want to read it or cite it? Probably no. So please ensure that you publish a paper, you promote it, and ensure that the quality is justified. Before we go, one important thing for all researchers in this room, every one of you should have an auth ID. And this auth ID is very important. And I'll tell you why. So, all of us have names, and with these names, we can abbreviate our names in a lot of different ways. For example, my name is Vishal Gupta. My name can be written as Vishal Gupta, Gupta Vishal, V Gupta, Gupta V, right? Once I was giving an examination where there were 36 Vishal Guptas in one room. So you need to ensure that that the indexing platform correctly identifies you. Some of you may have queries that, I have published 5 documents, but I can only see 4 on Scopus. Where is the 5th document? That may be because of 2 reasons. One is that journal is not Scopus indexed, but there is a second reason that article is there on Scopus, but it is indexed wrongly under somebody else's name. That is because Scopus was not able to identify if V Gupta and Vishal Gupta are the same person, right? So if you have an auth ID, you have a unique ID, which ensures that you have a common ID where all the articles are tagged. So next time when you submit an article, please submit your auth ID along with that article. So to summarize, basically, we've already discussed about thinking before writing, choosing the right journal and article type, using the right process to write a paper, ensuring that the language is up to date, ensuring that the paper is up to date and in the right context, using the correct article structure, understanding researcher, editor and reviewer questions and preparing accordingly, writing a good cover letter, and then revising everything and reviewing all the comments received by the editors and reviewers and rephrasing your article accordingly, obeying publication ethics, and then promoting your own article. This, I would like to introduce you to the Elsevier Researcher Academy. Now, this is really important for all of you, for young researchers, senior scientists, reviewers, editors. I think this is a one-stop shop where you can actually get all useful information related to research at no extra cost. So to help you save time and achieve your objectives as you continue to work from home, Elsevier has launched the Elsevier Researcher Academy, which is free to use for all the researchers. We recognize that continuous learning is an essential part of this journey, and we would like you to help you navigate your research journey accordingly. This platform offers certificates and rewards as you progress through different modules. On Researcher Academy, you will find e-learning modules developed by global experts, career guidance, and latest news from the global research community. The link that you see online, which is researcheracademy.elsevier.com, this is the link that you need to access the platform, or simply type Elsevier Researcher Academy on Google. There are interesting courses. I have highlighted a few on your screen, which you can see. For example, there is a certified peer reviewer course, right, where young authors and faculty can take this course and become Elsevier certified. There are courses on how to find the right journal, how to write a good book, finding jobs, fundamentals of article writing, career guidance, writing skills, technical writing skills. So if you want to go the next level in how to write articles that we have learned today, you can go with the technical writing skills, and then also you can get a course on publication ethics and much more. So we recommend all of you to visit this website and get insights on the entire research workflow. So with this, we come to the end of the first session, and now I will take up a few questions that have been posted in the Q&A box. Post that, we will go on a break at 12:45 for half an hour, and we come back at 1:15 to start with the next session on Mendeley. Right? So I'll take up a few questions now. My friend Pranav is here to help me out. So Pranav, have you noted a few questions that are to be answered?
Hi Vishal, and thank you all for attending this session. Can you hear me okay, Vishal?
Yes, I can hear you.
Alright, so most of the questions which we have received in the first session, Vishal, is related to acknowledgement in terms of they will get the certificate or not. So most of the questions are that. So will you be able to take that question and let them know that what's our policy to provide them the certificate after this session?
Right. So just to let for everyone's information, currently we for this session we do not have certificates, but as I explained you can go to this Researcher Academy and you can take up specific courses. They are very short courses, right? You know, half an hour course or a 15-minute, 20-minute course. You can take up these courses and you can get direct certificates from this platform. That is why I introduced you to this platform, because you can learn as well as get certificates as you proceed in your learning graph.
Alright, second most asked question, Vishal, was will they be able to get the recording or the PPT or PDF of the session which they are having today? So
right.
Probably most of them want to understand whether it will be possible or not.
Right. So we will send the webinar recording along with the PPT to all of you on the email IDs that you have provided to us when you logged on to this platform. We will send those information to all of you directly.
Alright Vishal, and another question which is very important, I think, from researcher point of view, and probably you will be covering that in the session which you will have for Scopus, and that question is how to have an ORCID. I think it will be taken up by you in our Scopus session, but still if you want to give an introduction on that.
Yeah, so basically ORCID ID is a free to create ID, and it's a third party ID that you can create online. You simply go online, type ORCID, right? You can go to their platform and you can create an ID. Once you do that, you can go back to Scopus. So if any one of you have published even one article in a Scopus Index journal, your ID will be created on Scopus automatically. So when you go to Scopus, you go to your ID, which all of you can do, irrespective of the fact that whether you have subscription or not. You go to your platform, or the Scopus platform, find your name, and then you can tag your Scopus ID with your ORC ID. So that will ensure that all your articles that have been published in Scopus Index Journal are covered under your name specifically. right?
Right. So how much time do we have to answer these questions, Vishal? Just to be able to sort out some important questions from the forum.
Yeah, so we have 10 minutes approximately.
All right, so we still have some time. So one very important question, what I can see here is Research Academy courses are free or paid?
Okay, so the Researcher Academy courses are free to take, right? You can go onto this platform. It is for free, freely accessible. There are a lot of e-modules, lot of courses that you can take, along with lot of webinar recordings and a lot of information, supplementary information that all of you might need. So I have received a lot of very specific questions like, how do I design my research? How do I start with my literature review? And so many questions that I have received. And that is why, I must tell you, all the answers to your questions are on the Elsevier Researcher Academy. If you go to this platform, you have a feel of this platform, you can get so much information. And while we all are working from home, I think this is the correct time where you can step back, take a pause, learn, and come out as a much knowledgeable person from this particular time.
Right, Vishal, and we are getting a lot of queries and feedback regarding to let them understand that what all research areas are there, what all subject areas are there, what are the feedbacks or the latest paper which we can see the different subject areas. So
Okay.
my idea or the feedback or the answer to that would be that, sir and ma'am, the ScienceRed.com, even though it's a subscription-based model, but only for downloading the papers. Apart from downloading the papers, ScienceRed.com does have a lot of information about the latest issues which are being published, latest articles which are being published, and registering on ScienceRed.com website is ultimately free, actually free. So anybody can go there and register there. What it can help you to do will be, it can help you to send out some newsletters related to your subject areas, and it will also let you understand about what all new articles which are being published in your customized interested subject areas. So Vishal has already opened the ScienceRed page, and probably he'll be showing you that what all details which we have on ScienceRed website. Even though you're not a subscriber, but still you have a lot of information which you can gain from ScienceRed website.
Right. So if you go to the Science Direct platform, I think this very important information that Pranav has highlighted. So if you look at this platform, this is where you are going to put in your keywords. This is what we actually do when we go onto the Science Direct platform. So if you go further down, there are 4 subject categories: physical sciences, engineering, life sciences, health sciences, and social sciences. For every subject category, you will see the most popular articles on your screen along with the most recent publication. So this gives you an idea of what is being published on the Science Direct platform. And what you can do is, you can actually register on this platform anyone can register on this platform by clicking here, creating an ID for yourself, right? And then you can set up alerts for yourself, right? And these alerts can be, let's say you are a scientist in the field of, let's say nanoparticles, right? Now, each time any article is published in this particular field, you will get a notification in your email box that a new article has been published in this field. You may go and see that article. So if you have access to this article, you can see the full text. If you don't have access, you can see the abstract, right? So that is how you're going to collect information here. See, for every subject area, you have all these information right here. You can actually create and manage alerts right at the bottom. You can go here and you can receive personalized recommendations also. On the left hand side, you will find some online video tutorials, right? So if you want to learn more about how to navigate to the Science Direct platform and learn more about how to use it, please go and see the online tutorials.
And just to set the record straight, these functions or these services are entirely free. So you can go down and see and see that how this entire ScienceRed website looks like. And in the middle banner, you can also see the COVID center, which Vishal talked about. The entire session kicked off with that COVID-19 center. So these articles or these content which we have on ScienceRed is free to access for everybody to go there and see it. So this is how the ScienceRed page looks like. More details will be shared by Vishal in his later session. One interesting question, Vishal, which I've got here is that can you highlight the importance of publishing in an impact factor journal versus SJR ranking versus other journals?
Okay. So, it's a very good question, and my take on this is that, as I explained earlier, right, it is up to you to decide what is important for you. Is impact factor very important for you? Then you choose a journal with a higher impact factor, right? If you want to get global visibility, then my recommendation is choose a Scopus Index journal. That will give you global visibility, right? Now, impact factor is only assigned to, number one, SCI journals, that we call them SCI, only they have impact factors. So only, let's say, 13 to 15,000 journals will have impact factor. Now, out of all those journals, more than 90% of those journals are already indexed on Scopus. So you will find most of the Scopus Index journals, they are having impact factor. But to answer your question on which one you should consider, I think you should not consider only one. You should consider all the factors. So you should look at impact factor, you should look at site score, SJR, SNIP. This will give you a more holistic view about that particular journal. So never judge any journal. This is just a recommendation and a suggestion. Never judge any journal on the basis of just one parameter. Just like we don't judge people on just one parameter, that is a good quality or a bad quality. Similarly, look at the journal from all angles. Look at how well it is doing when subject areas are normalized. Look at SNIP. Then if you want to look how prestigious that journal is, how reputed, look at SJR. And then if you want to see the citation impact, then you look at impact factor and site score. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think it should, Vishal. Since we do not have them speaking, so probably they will be writing something in question answer box. One interesting question again, Vishal, and even I was wondering for that. That this should come up with some of the authors. In the slide you have shown one slide where you have told about the retracted papers. So some of them are asking that what is mean by retracted?
Okay. So as I said, that there are a lot of cases. If you go online and if you read on Google, there will be a lot of news about retraction of papers. What happens is, let's say a paper was submitted after 5 years or 6 years. So it doesn't mean that once your paper is submitted, it cannot be removed or it cannot be challenged by anyone, right? Once it is published, it gets more visibility. More and more people are able to see it, right? Now, if any misconduct is detected, right? Any misconduct which includes plagiarism, of course, plagiarism check is done before, but still, there are cases where some issues are found. Then inappropriation of authors, you have mentioned some authors that did not contribute, and you have mentioned some authors that contributed, and you have not mentioned them. Then data falsification, data fabrication, all these types of misconduct can be detected at any stage. Once it is detected, that article will be retracted. And when I say retracted, I mean that the article remains online and there is a red mark that you saw across the article which says retracted. And then in the end, there will be a description about why this article was retracted. Now, if the paper is removed, right, it removes the history. So that is why the COPE, or the Committee on Publication Ethics, they have ensured that the article will remain online. It will keep showing as a retracted paper, and it usually brings a very bad name to the authors, right? So that is done basically to discourage these kind of misconduct and encourage users to follow publication ethics.
Yeah. Vishal, since we also have some time, 2 minutes now, so we'll take up a last question, and probably this will take most of the time also to answer. So some of them are asking about the option of getting the articles published free on Science Direct. So probably we need to talk more about the open access and what all kind of models which we have and how they can use it.
Right. So as I discussed during my slide on journal types, so there are basically two types of journals. One is subscribed journals, another one is open access journals. So in subscribed journals, the users do not pay a publication fee. The readers pay a fee. So by readers, I mean either individual readers, if they want to download an article, they need to pay a fee, or the institution. So that usually what happens, the institution or consortiums, they purchase the subscription for a set of articles that are made available to the users free to download, right? The other model is open access. So as we discussed, open access means that the article will be free to read. Now to make an article free to read, there has to be a fee paid, right? If fees is involved, it is called a gold open access journal. That means you pay a fee to make an article free for everyone else to read. There is another type of open access which is called green open access, where the authors need not pay. So all you need to do is, you need to choose the green open access route when you are asked for, when you submit your article. Once you do that, the article will remain as a subscribed article, right, for a particular period of time. After that period of time, the article becomes open access. That means you are free to share full text of that article in open archive platforms like Mendeley, Archive, X, and many other platforms, right? So this is how you are going to ensure that you publish in an open access journal at no extra cost, right? And these type of journals that offer the option of both open access as well as subscribe are called hybrid journals. Now, all Elsevier journals, and I repeat, all Elsevier journals give you the option to publish in green open access mode, right? So you can publish in any Elsevier journal under green open access model for free, right? So I hope this answers your question.